Welcome back to Staying Salty. My name's Chelsea, and this week we're talking about managing time on IVs.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
So we've been gone a ridiculously long amount of time, and we're so sorry about that. But if you've never been here before, this is a channel about 6 different people who have cystic fibrosis, which is a lung disease that affects the lungs and a whole lot of other things in the body. But this week in particular, we're talking about time on IVs and how in the world we fit that into our schedule. When we talk about IVs, you might be wondering, what in the world is that? We're talking about intravenous antibiotics. So just like you'd get an IV on your hand in the hospital, a lot of the times people with CF get resistant to regular antibiotics, so we actually have to get put on IV antibiotics. Sometimes you get put in the hospital, and sometimes you can do them at home. Since a whole different video is on hospitals, I'm going to be mostly talking about the home IV antibiotics and how I manage my time at home on them. Since in the hospital, you've already pretty much given up 2 weeks to be in the hospital. So that's a completely different story, and I'll link a video that we did similar to this a few seasons ago, so I'll link that down below. So when you first get put on IV antibiotics or get told that you have to be on IV antibiotics, it can be pretty shocking or hard to take in. I remember I wasn't on IV antibiotics until I was 19, 18 in college, had never been on anything besides pill or oral antibiotics in my entire life. So when I first was told I needed IV antibiotics, I was shocked. I had no idea what that meant, and it took a long time to really understand that it didn't mean handing my entire life over for 2-3 weeks. Just like every day, I am not cystic fibrosis. I am also not cystic fibrosis when I'm on IV antibiotics. So simply going on IV antibiotics doesn't mean you're handing over your entire life to this new schedule and this whole new realm of medicine for 2 or 3 weeks. And the easiest way that I found to do that, I'm going to go through a few tips with you to make it as simple and as streamlined as it can be in your day-to-day life, because we all have lives outside of CF, and sometimes IV antibiotics are just something that you have to work into that, and it's not a bad thing. It's simply one more thing to put in your tool belt of things to fight CF with. And it doesn't mean that you're failing as a CF patient. It doesn't mean that you're not doing well and you're not treating your body well enough. Sometimes you just need a little bit more ammo to fight CF, and that's what IV antibiotics are. So my first tip is simply schedule. Figure out a schedule that works for you. Usually when I'm on IV antibiotics, I am on one every 8 hours, so that's 3 times a day, and then I'm on one once a day. So the way that I've always done it is I try and schedule it around my already existing schedule. I would usually wake up at 7 and do that one, and then the next would be at 3, and then the last one at 11 at night, which seems to work pretty well. I'm able to sleep through the entire night. I'm able to do my meds around the same times that I'd be doing things, or whether I'm getting up in the morning or going to bed. It's just super easy to try and work it into your already existing schedule instead of making your schedule work with it. It's a very easy thing to do if you work with your doctors or your nurses to schedule things properly. You can really streamline it and make it pretty simple to work it into your everyday life. My second piece of advice is to stay organized. As you can see, there are a lot of supplies, and this isn't even one use worth of supplies, but I need to stay organized. I need to keep everything in a very easy, accessible area, because when you're doing IV antibiotics, you don't want to spend 5 minutes of your time looking for everything. You just want to grab what you need and go. Especially the way I do them, I usually do the little eclipse balls. I'll put a picture somewhere in here about that. And essentially they're little time release balls that disperse medicine at the rate that they're supposed to, that you can simply just throw in a jacket or a pocket, and it makes life so much easier. So if you're leaving and you know you're going to be gone when you have to do one of your antibiotics. Just throw everything in a bag and then you can do it on the go. My third tip is let people help you. I remember I was so and am so independent, and I hate needing other people to do anything for me. But when I was in college, it was so easy to have people around to help me. And once I accepted their help, you know, either getting just simply lunch or picking up something on the way home, it was just so much easier to get on top of everything and keep myself as healthy as I could, accepting other people's help. Now my boyfriend actually is trained to access my port, which I have for my IV antibiotics right here, which, if you don't know what a port is, it is a little, you can see it under there. It's a little guy that is under my skin that goes up through a vein in my neck and into my heart so that I can get IV antibiotics without having to go to the hospital and get peripheral IVs put in or a PICC line up my arm. It's simply accessed with this, whoop, let's focus, this little guy. Here's the needle right up here, and you simply just pop it in and start IV antibiotics. So my boyfriend's actually been trained to do that, so we don't even have to go to the hospital or have nurses come to our house. We just have to get the supplies and we can all do it ourselves. So accepting other people's help can make things a whole lot easier. My number 4 tip for me was probably the most difficult to understand for myself, was to listen to your own body. I always tried to keep going to school and doing everything that I was doing, going to work, while I was on IV antibiotics, and that's great, and sometimes we can do that, and sometimes IV antibiotics are just kind of that little extra help that we need to get over an exacerbation. But then there are also those other times that you need to stop doing things, and the main thing is you need to listen to your body. If your body's telling you to slow down and watch Netflix for an entire 2 weeks, you need to do that. It doesn't matter what schedule you have every day. You won't have a schedule if you get sick enough where you're in the hospital 24/7. So you have to listen to your body and really interpret what you need and not consider what you want to do, but what you need to do. Sometimes those things are the same thing. You can continue on your daily life, but sometimes those are a little bit different. And you definitely need to recognize when they're different and treat your body like you should and give it this time to recuperate and use all the IV antibiotics to help you. If I have one piece of advice to anyone going through IVs for the first time or maybe the 100th time, it's to not hate IV antibiotics. They don't have to be horrible. They don't have to take over your entire life, and it doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that there's no hope left. It's simply one more thing to help you get better and be the best version of you that you can be. So don't lose hope. Try and stay positive, and I hope that this video helped you out a little bit. So if you want, I'll leave all of my social media handles down below, and you can always contact me with any questions or anything. Try to keep my videos short, so I will also put all of the social medias to the channels down below for staying salty, and check out everybody else's video. We have missed you guys so much. Welcome to season 7, and check out Tara's video tomorrow because it's her first video with us and we're so excited to have her. I think you guys are going to love her. She's so adorable. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next week. Remember to stay salty.